There are many pictures to have been given the title of scariest movie ever made. From whatever generation, there are always iconic pictures that define the fears of an era. However, being individuals, we are susceptible to different fears. What may not scare one person may terrify another. An insecurity unique to everyone that's responsible for unjust mockery. Where killer clowns, creepy dolls, and boogeymen have no effect, there were still many that were able to break the edge and instill a sense of fear within me. In this ultimate episode of Demented Top 10 Season 2, I'm taking a break from the normal format to put myself in the spotlight and give you all an insight into my own psyche. So join me as I count down the top 10 movies that actually scared me. For this list, I'll be looking at the movies that were able to instill a genuine sense of fear within me. And before people comment about the choices that have no effect on them, understand the fear is subjective, and these are the movies that affected me. So let's begin. Number 10. As one of the first horror movies I ever saw, Poltergeist would create a fear I never knew existed. Seeing the picture as a child and without any experience in horror, the thought my home was shared with insidious apparitions would make for many sleepless nights. Atypical to haunted house pictures, having the movie set in a familiar modern homestead added an all-too-eerie relatability. A secondary fear the movie would create is the phenomenon of dogs reacting to seemingly nothing, an instinct of their heightened senses that still tests my skepticism. For me, Poltergeist serves as an emotional time capsule that remains one of the few movies capable of rekindling my childhood. Number 9. Having experienced the gross wrongdoing of a loved one, the events depicted in Dead Man's Shoes are something that many have fantasized about. As a man of sound mind, the quest for revenge and justice is a dark thought I've only ever imagined, and the movie explores the concept of unleashing the potential killer that lives within all of us. The scariest theme is the justification of the main character's actions. A man that's equally supportable as he is despicable, as his mission for focused, unyielding satisfaction takes him to its unpredictable end. Dead Man's Shoes created a fear I'd never experienced before in cinema, the fear of myself, and serves as an outstanding warning of the consequences. Number 8. First watching this movie having recently moved into a new home. Living alone at the time, Eels would make the following few nights almost unbearable. A movie that follows a husband and wife who move into their first home, unknowing that it serves as a twisted playground for a gang of homicidal youths. The fear of intruders, made all the more disturbing by its connection to real events, was somewhat brushed upon in Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs, this time pushed to the limits to create a most effective home invasion-style horror movie. Hauntingly unsettling and disturbingly comprehensible, Eels is a movie to make you want to check every dark corner, lock every door, and question every creak. Number 7. Again stemming from the susceptibility of innocence, Ridley Scott's Alien would be one of my original gateway movies. A suspenseful monster movie to the child and a sci-fi body horror to the adult, Alien is one of the few pictures to scare different generations for different reasons, making it one of the most multifaceted movies with such a simple concept. The introduction of the xenomorph and the now iconic facehugger made for one of the most terrifying genesis in cinema history. A perfect example of the what you don't see is scarier device, coupled with the highly impressive payoff scares. From the outstanding creature design to its deadly reproductive cycle, Alien is arguably the greatest sci-fi horror movie of all time. Number 6. Known to many as the movie that made you afraid to go in the water, I too was a victim of the effect of Jaws. As one of the most accessible movies ever made, allowed for matinee TV syndication, it was during such a screening that my fear of open water was born. The potential reality of a great white with a taste for human flesh was something I could handle. The exceptional direction and cinematography, I could not. Also worth mentioning is the score by John Williams. The simple two-note ostinato that perfectly reflects the suspense and intensity of being preyed upon would alone create an almost overwhelming sense of panic. A AAA movie from a B-movie concept, Jaws created an air of apprehension that I still carry with me to this day. Number 5. Although most account the Here's Johnny scene as the most terrifying within The Shining, for me personally, it's the old lady of room 237. Adapted from the Stephen King novel and masterfully directed by Stanley Kubrick, the accumulation of atmosphere, visuals, concept, and sound design created for the particular sequence that still disturbs me to this day. Featuring many unnerving moments, if all presented, this oddly foreboding scene would ultimately overshadow the intensity of the remainder of the movie. Words cannot fully explain the almost irrational fear of the laughing lady, but remains one of the most distressing and impressive scares in an already outstanding picture. Number 4. A highly polarizing movie for many horror lovers, the personally unique experience that came with the Blair Witch Project was due to the gullibility that comes with adolescence. Highly praised for its outstanding marketing campaign and acquiring the movie prior to its release, my first experience watching the movie was that of a fully invested teen. Despite the underwhelming cinematography and being originally confused by the conclusion, it wasn't until discussing the picture that I fully realized the meaning of the events and the execution of the closing shot. Upon the confirmation of the movie's lack of authenticity, created both a sense of relief and sadness, as I knew I would never experience that same fear again. Number 3. The sign of a true scare is that you carry it with you long after the picture is over. The fear evoked by Martyrs would stay with me for several days. Watching what would be a typical revenge movie, the narrative takes a left turn into the realms of the unknown, constantly evolving into one of the most harrowing and unforgettable climaxes. Presenting a story that trickle-feeds its secrets, teases the viewer into pondering the motives of its antagonists and ultimately question the nature of high society. Martyrs is a movie that incites my anger towards abuse and my opinions towards the misuse of religion to create arguably the most conceptually disturbing movie in the history of cinema. Number 2. Having witnessed unexplainable events and subject to a wandering imagination, Shudder is a movie that fully tested my insecurities and stayed with me for many weeks following the initial watch. Being scared as a child by ghost photography, the inclusion of quote-unquote genuine spirit pictures would rekindle that formerly associated fear. Atop of the already exceptional direction, the movie presents an incredibly engrossing story, complete with on-point suspense, atmosphere, and an unforgettable climax. A movie where the accumulation of every theme serves as a trigger to my irrational sensitivities. And in consideration of the many terrifying movies available, in my personal opinion, Shudder is the scariest picture in the history of Asian cinema. If you enjoyed Demented Top Tens, show your appreciation by hitting the thumbs up button, and be sure to subscribe to keep up with the channel. Also, have your say in future Top Tens and follow Demented Pictures on Facebook, or consider supporting the show on Patreon. Links in the description box below. Number 1. Of the many pictures to cover global atrocities, none have affected me more than Schindler's List. Presenting the story of Oskar Schindler and his mission to rescue Jewish prisoners during the Holocaust. Of the accumulative horror depicted, one particular scene would instill a fear I'd never before experienced in cinema. During the Second World War, the use of gas chambers was a common known device for aiding genocide. Following the women and children who believe they're bound for safe haven, find themselves in Auschwitz. The following scene as they're prepared to meet their demise, and the pure terror portrayed, is possibly the most harrowing and disturbing act ever committed. The visualization of an atrocity I'd only ever read about is a scene I swore I would never rewatch until the making of this very video. And although Schindler's List is not a horror movie by definition, it proves that nothing is more terrifying than reality. So, there was my list. Which movies were able to scare you the most? Leave a comment below, and thank you for joining me for this second season of Demented Top Tens. Be sure to check out some other Top Tens on screen now. And remember, no list is definitive but the one you make yourself. This is Mike from Demented Pictures saying, may your movies be bloody and your scares be shitless.